Hi friends, Renee Keese here with Carolina Creative. I'm here with more card making ideas for you. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'll be using Stampin' Up! Products today. I am back to using the Nests of Winter Suite, which includes the wintry treetops stamps and dies and some of the really pretty paper. And what you're going to see here is I have selected this paper and already cut out, it was laying here, there it fell. And I've already cut out a piece because I'm going to cut out this bird, and you'll see how I'll use that in a minute. But today I'm going to do a really simple fun fold card. It's a flap card, and first I'm going to show you how everything is laid out and cut, and I'm going to keep beside my work area here the dimensions that I'm using so that if you want to follow along or you want to come back and rewatch this and do it, you will have those dimensions. But this is really easy. So let me flip my camera down to my work area. And all the dimensions are here. So I'm starting with what would normally be a card base, and this is simply 5.5 by 4.25, but it doesn't open, so this is just a flat piece. And then I've got another piece cut at 8.5 long by 3.25, and then it's scored in the middle, so it's still scored at 4.25. And this is going to become our flap. So in order to do this card, all you then need are 2 strips of Designer Series paper. These are 4 inches long by 1.5, just to give us enough dimension. And I did pick something out of that Nests of Winter suite. Now the wood grain would look pretty cool too. Or if you wanted to mix it up, it could be something embossed. But these 2 strips are going to go on the card base like this. And then the flap is going to go on here. So this is going to be adhered so that the card opens this way. Now the only other thing that you need are 2 more pieces, and these are 4 inches by 3 inches. So I've got a piece of white that will then go inside my little card flap, and I'm using this to go on the card front. This could easily be another piece of Designer Series paper, something that contrasts. I've run this through an embossing folder. I've got an old snowflake print, and so I'm doing kind of a tone-on-tone front with the snowflake. And then all you need to do is add, it could be something as simple as a shape, a couple shapes laying here. For your sentiment, I'm going to cut out this bird, and you will do that in a minute. And I'm actually going to use a die-cut bow out of the Seasons of Green and Gold. And when I assemble this, we'll see how I'm going to do this. I'll have a bow, I'm going to have the bird sitting on the bow, and then I will add a little sentiment to that as well. So you've seen how this whole thing is going to go together. Let me start by working through a little bit of stamping, and then I'm going to do some cutting, and then I'm going to be ready to go. So inside, I'm going to continue with my Pool Party. This card base I picked was Pool Party, so it's not quite a blue. It's kind of a in between a blue-green. And I'm just going to, because I have snowflakes on the front, I'm going to stamp a couple more snowflakes here on the inside. I don't want a whole lot, just a little bit. And then I'm going to do a sentiment. Again, I went looking to see, well, what could I put on here? The front is going to say Season's Greetings. And so I'm going to put that on my, my little oval here. So let me just stamp that down to the side, I think is where this needs to be. I probably should have done this last once I saw exactly where it's going to go, but I have an idea, so I'm going to work with that. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of color on this oval. I don't know if you've ever seen me do this. I love to do this. I love to cover up the white edges with a little bit of ink. And then inside for my card flap, this is just going to say thinking of you at Christmas. And I want to leave a little bit of space on here so that there's still room for somebody to write a sentiment, write a message in there. Okay, that should be it. There's not a whole lot of stamping on this particular card. Depending how you are assembling your flap, you could have more than what I just did, but I was kind of keeping this simple. So now I'm going to take my bird and do a little bit of fussy cutting. I'm going to leave some white all the way around here where I can. And as you know, we try to hold our scissors in one place and zigzag around with the paper, make the paper move. So I'm just going around here. Let me go around these cute little berries, give that a little curve. And this, as I showed you when I held up the paper, this came right off the edge of the paper, which is why this is flat. And I will try to make that disappear right now. So I'm going to add a little bit of curve here and take that out. Yep, that worked. So let me hold that up. I've now die cut the bird so that he is more freestanding, and I can tuck him into my little branch, my little bough here. Okay, so assembling. Let's see how this goes together. I'm going to start with my designer paper, so I'm actually working from the bottom up. And I'm going to, use liquid glue for this. As soon as I get it open so it flows a little bit. Here, come on now. It did dry up. Sometimes overnight, that's all it takes. There we go. So, edges, and I might put a little down the middle. I always make sure I get it at the corners. Okay, this gives me a little flexibility though, and so when I'm lining it up, I can still slide it before I put it all the way down. And I was trying to keep an even edge on also. I'm close to even, but trying to give it somewhat of an even edge. So now I'm going to make this one match. It will ultimately look like you've got a whole piece of designer paper behind this when it's in actuality just 2 strips. Okay, so those are my 2 strips. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my flap. And so for this, I want to use something a little stronger because it's cardstock. So I am going to use my Stampin' Seal. There we go. And that should be plenty. And put this, I'm going to line it up so that it's right, I'll turn this sideways, right in the middle. So I'm overlapping it evenly, and then it goes all the way down, lining it up again, shifting just a little bit. I could have lined this up on my mat here and gotten it completely perfect, but yeah, it's not rocket science. Okay, so there's my card and my card front. So let me put the insert in there because I am doing this bottom up. Totally up to you, so how you assemble yours. And the fun thing is you could have even embossed these 2 layers, these 2, what I use designer paper. There's a lot of different things you could do with this. So now I'm going to put my embossed layer on here, which is going to become the background. Not a lot of this is going to show through, but it'll be enough that you'll be able to tell, you'll be able to feel it as well as see it. Okay, so now comes the fun. I've got to figure out how I want to do this. I want the bird to be sitting on this lovely die-cut pine bough. And like I already said, I pulled this, yeah, there we go. I pulled this out of the Seasons of Green and Gold. So I'm going to, put him like that. And then I think what I'm going to do is just tuck my little Season's Greeting behind this. So I'm going to need to make sure I don't glue all this down so I can do that. Tuck it down behind there. Yep, that's what I'm going for. Okay, now that I have my layout, I'm going to start with the pine bough. And I'm going to put my thumb where I know I don't want to put glue because I want to be able to tuck that oval in there. So now I'm going to dot on some liquid glue, especially down the middle here where there's a wider strip of paper. And then make sure I get some of these edges. I don't want everything to be able to pick up here or, flip up. I don't want it too glued down solid, but, you need to give it a little bit of flexibility here. And then I'm going to slide that out before I glue this down. So that fits well. And so now let me tuck my sentiment up under here. And I'm overlapping it. I think that makes the pine bough show even more. So I'm going to stick that well under there. Now, you could use dimensionals for the bird. And I'm going to put another drop of glue back there because I see that was wanting to pick up. With that texture, sometimes it'll do that. It won't stay flat. So another drop of glue will hold it down. But what I was saying was, you know, dimensionals could work. You could pop all kinds of things onto here. But I just want this bird to be sitting in here. I like the idea that this overlaps as well. So I'm going to make sure I get that glued down. I'm just putting another dot of glue under there to make sure it holds. Okay. And then I think the bird needs just a little bit of shimmer. Maybe the berries need some shimmer, and maybe a little bit of Wink of Stella here on this bough. Could add, I just saw there was a piece of, it's a different shade of green, but you could add a bow. I'm just going to quick tie this and see. I'm thinking a small bow, so I would have to trim this down. But, you know, a piece of ribbon could be tucked in here somewhere as well. But I'm not going to do that just yet until I decide. But that's how it would work. You could sprinkle gemstones on here, add a little bit of ribbon. There's just a lot of things you could do, but a very simple, fun fold. This is just a flap card. And you saw how quickly that went together once you do a little bit of cutting. So here's the project for today. Thanks for joining me. If you like the project or the products that you've seen here, you can find me at Carolina Creative, hashtag Carolina Creative, or I am on the Stampin' Up! Network at Renee Keys, StampinUp.net. So thanks for joining me. Stay tuned for the next video.